Beatle people, welcome back to A Beateful Life. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you some more of my books and magazines, and I'm also going to show you a couple of vinyls that I got for my birthday, which was last week on the 14th. Thank you, by the way, to everyone who wished me happy birthday on social media. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that I got was Paul McCartney's Amoeba Gig. This is the one that was just released for his kind of Summer of Live releases. This is the colored vinyl. There's a clear vinyl and an amber vinyl as well. I'll show you the track list on the back if you aren't familiar. Alright, so the next one that I got is Paul McCartney's First Live Show Spring 72. This is a bootleg release, obviously. I looked up a little bit more information, and this is from the kind of college tour that Wings did. And this is an audience recording. I think it was Hull University, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to put the track list on the screen. And apparently the title is because this, for a long time, was the only known recording of that tour that Wings was doing. Alright, so now we're going to get into the books and magazines portion of the video, and we're going to start with one that I just recently purchased. This is a special edition of People magazine, focusing on the year 1969. A lot of this is about the Beatles in 1969. There's also a section about Woodstock, because, you know, 50 years of Woodstock. And there's also some stuff about some other musicians from that period as well. So let's take a look inside. So you can see the table of contents, again going into the year 1969 and what it meant for the Beatles, and how, you know, they were changing, and it was coming into what would be the last days of the Beatles, and then getting into the Woodstock part at the end. It has kind of little, I guess, mini biographies about each member, and, you know, how things were changing for them individually in the year 1969, as well as a group. In this section it gets into Abbey Road song by song, going in depth on every track a little bit. And then gets into the Woodstock section at the end, talking about, you know, everyone who performed at Woodstock, and there's a kind of what if the Beatles had played Woodstock thing in there as well. If you're interested in picking this up, I got mine at Barnes & Noble, but I have seen it at a few other stores like Target. This was $13.99. There's the back. And this is on stands until November 22nd, so you have plenty of time to pick it up. Next, we're going to be taking a look at something that I found in my drawer that I actually forgot I had. This is from 2012. It's a special edition of USA Today. So this is, of course, all about the Beatles, and there are a lot of sections in here about every aspect of the Beatles. Fashion, film, their legacy, their influence on a lot of different things. And there's a section also that I want to talk about where USA Today says what they think the 20 best Beatles songs are and what they think the 5 worst are. So we're going to take a look at that. Here's the fashion section. Okay, so this is the part that gets into their 20 best songs. I think I'm just going to show you what they would consider their top 5 to be. So number 1 is Ticket to Ride. Number 2, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Number 3, A Day in the Life. Number 4, Eleanor Rigby. And number 5, Norwegian Wood. As I've said before, it's very hard for me to pick a favorite Beatles song, and it would even be hard for me to pick a top 5, so I can't necessarily say whether or not I agree with this. But I do love all these songs, obviously. So this is the section, I just took this page out so it's a little less, you know, fumbly, but this is the section where it talks about what they think the 5 worst Beatles songs are, and I will say, with most of this, I don't agree. So we'll take a look. The worst Beatles song, in their opinion, is You Know My Name, Look Up the Number. I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, I do like that song. I think it's like a fun, silly song. I don't think it's anything, groundbreaking necessarily, but I wouldn't place that as a number one. Number two, I do agree with Wild Honey Pie, and that's not to be confused with the song Honey Pie. Obviously, they say that it mercifully clocks in at less than a minute. I will agree with that one, but most of it I don't, because number three is Slow Down. I don't think that's one of the worst. They say, the guitar has a rude blubbering sound. They may have been aiming for garage rock, but this is as flimsy as a carport. Number four worst, they say, is Revolution 1. I don't agree with that either. I'm not sure why that's on there. I guess they prefer the faster version. Number five, I definitely don't agree with. They say the number five worst is Within You, Without You. I actually think that's an underrated song. I love that song a lot. Oh, by the way, for number one, if you're wondering why they think it's the worst, they say, here's what they say about it. Even though this Lennon-dominated oddity was stitched together from 4 recording sessions, it sounds as though their minds were wandering through a hole in the roof. And to think this was edited down so that it would fit as the B-side of 1970's Let It Be. So let me know in the comments if you agree with any on this list or not. The only one I really agree with is Wild Honey Pie. There's this section about some controversies. Of course, the bigger than Jesus quote, the Paul's Dead conspiracy theory, the Butcher album cover as well. And then at the end it talks about, of course, their legacy. It again mentions the film Across the Universe. I still have not seen that movie, actually. Beatles Rock Band. I remember seeing the commercials for Beatles Rock Band when I was in middle school. We had kind of inside recess and one of the commercials came on for it, and I was like staring at the TV like... And at the end here, on the back rather, I found this funny. There was apparently this ad for One Direction, and at the time I really didn't like them, so you could see I scribbled all over them with a Sharpie. I really didn't like them because in high school all the girls would tell me that they were the new Beatles. So you can see I took out my frustration. So lastly, we're going to be taking a look at Paul McCartney's On the Run tour program. I think this is the last of my tour programs that I had to show because, like I said, I did not get one of these for every time I've seen Paul. So we'll start at the beginning with his message. The date that I saw him was at Yankee Stadium. I don't remember if it was night 1 or night 2, but I know it was the one where he brought out Billy Joel as a special guest. And they sang I Saw Her Standing There. So the format for this tour program is pretty standard stuff as far as interviews and such. I'm just going to highlight some pictures and a couple sections that are unique to this program. So the thing unique to this program, or one of the things, is that there's this interview about McCartney and McCartney 2 being recently released as part of the archive collection. And there's a section of how it had been 41 years since McCartney was released and kind of what Paul's musical accomplishments have been since that point. Of course, there's a section for Linda, and this is kind of a good segue because there's a new book that was just released called Linda McCartney, The Polaroid Diaries. It's a collection of Linda's Polaroid photographs, and Paul and Ringo and Stella and Mary and Barbara were all at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London yesterday. Paul and his daughters gave a talk on the book, so that was pretty cool to see them all together. Alright, Beatle people, that is everything I have to show you for today's video. So I want to say thank you very much for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more things like this. I'll leave the links to my blog and social media in the description, so you can check those out if you want. And as always, have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye-bye.